guest first. They carry the Oberoi hospitality DNA and have gone places to influence businesses, landscapes with panache. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting our next panel, Oberoi Alumni, the wider spectrum. Please welcome Ajay, Senior Country Managing Director, Accenture India. He chairs the Indian Executive Council at Accenture and is a member of Accenture's Global Operations Council. He serves the India Executive Council of NASSCOM and India National Executive Board of AmCham. As a kitchen trainee, 86-88 graduate chef Vij and wife Kavita saw the next 10 batches pass through OSHM Gateway at TOND. Ajay transitioned to F&B service at the Oberoi, Bangalore before leaving the industry in 2001. Welcome, Ajay. Our next panelist is Joe Manavalan. Joe is an entrepreneur with a pioneering mindset, a deep passion to create concepts in the food service ecospace, and is driven by opportunities to constantly innovate. He is co-founder of Delightful Gourmet that is known as brand Licious, one of the top 100 unicorn e-commerce startups in India, pioneer in the premium meat and meat products. The company is presently valued at $1.5 billion. Former founder, yes, that calls for a big round of applause. Former founder, Painted Platters, Bangalore Private Limited, and Managing Director, Book and Marks Hospitality Private Limited. His professional foundation was rooted at the Oberoi Group, having worked at the Oberoi Grand Calcutta, the Oberoi Bangalore, the Oberoi New Delhi, and as training manager at OCLD. So welcome once again. And now I call upon Sharad Puri, hospitality industry expert. Sharad is from the batch that witnessed the transition of the Oberoi School of Hotel Management to OCLD. He has rich experience of working at various Oberoi properties with Oberoi Towers Mumbai, the Oberoi Mumbai again, the Oberoi Grand, Trident Nariman Point, Trident Chennai, and Trident Hyderabad. After having served the Oberoi Group for nearly 25 years, Sharad spent 5 years with Marriott in Mumbai and Bengaluru. His last role with Marriott was as a cluster general manager, after which he moved to lead sales and distribution for the Leela Palaces, hotels and resorts. Sharad has successfully opened and repositioned several hotels in the country across varied brands. Welcome, Sharad. This panel is being moderated by Shyam Mohan, founder and chairman, Tier 1 Network Private Limited, who is an experienced entrepreneur now turned entrepreneur, a graduate of OSHM, as well as the Advanced Management Program at the Harvard Business School. His experience spans working in various leadership roles in the hospitality, agriculture, food innovation, and property management industries. He currently runs his own enterprise as the founder and chairman in the food value chain. So essentially, Shyam has work experience from farm to plate and everything in between. So over to you, Shyam.
All Bangalore boys, by the way. Who's where? Senior. Okay.
Wow, good evening. I'm really honored to host the panel of super achievers like you. So firstly, congratulations on all your achievements and wishing you a lot more. Really proud of you. Yeah. To start off with, what I'd really like to do is, all of us started off, from the same place, but you guys had different journeys, and I would like each of you to start by talking about the journey from Oberoi School, the journey you followed, and the where you are right now, and your state of mind. So just give a freewheeling understanding of where you are at and what you're thinking. and as much as possible share the experiences to help each of us know that there are multiple paths to success. Okay? So to start off first, shall we give the senior man in the room, yeah, Ajay.
Senior to all of them.
So he trained all of us actually, and he gave us hell, this guy. So I have to do my bit today.
How much
But
time?
anyway.
How much time do we have?
We have 2 to 3 minutes to start off, and then I'll ask you
Great,
questions
great.
and
So
stuff.
first of all, thank you for inviting me here. It's truly a pleasure. I was telling Kavita in the morning, it feels like completing a journey, right? When I was 21, 1986, entering that door on the left hand of the building to today sitting here, feels really, really proud. As she mentioned earlier, I think the big asset for both Kavita and me has been that first 10 years we were posted at the Oberoi, New Delhi. So the next 10 batches of kitchen trainees and management trainees, 300 odd people are today stalwarts and leaders in the industry, and that network is really truly our power and our go-to for every reason. Several things happened in these 30 years, 35 years that are there. Yes, the first thing that I would really call out is the 2 years at Oberoi School. The amount of confidence and pride that we put in our people at that stage. Today, I give that example often that if somebody taps you on the shoulder, we go there, we stand there, we'll figure out how to do it, and that's really the confidence that Oberoi Hotel or OSHM those days gave us. So, super proud of that, and thank you very much. The other thing that it taught me was dignity of labor, right? Starting in the kitchens, from the late night cleaning that had to be done to the morning security guard who said hi to you, just taught you that the whole engine runs because of lots of small clogs in it, right? And you cannot ignore them, right? We learned them from all the leaders sitting here, and we really try to pass that on. Really made a big difference to us. The third piece, I would say, every business is a people business. No matter where you are, even in today's technology world, and I'm sure we'll talk more to that, it is a people business. If you can handle people, you are successful. So very proud of that, but some memorable moments, without them it doesn't make sense to hand it back to you. Of course, 2 years Oberoi School, full of memories. That's where, Def Call Barsatis, East of Kailash, Chamris that we stayed in really, really shaped us and made us. Mackenzie Re-Engineering, Mr. Arjun Oberoi, thank you very much. I think it was a life-changing moment, certainly for me, for the organization as well. So that was great. Mr. Buthlingam, thank you for fighting the business case with Mr. Oberoi for me to move out of kitchens, right? I know you worked hard at it. I also remember Mr. Oberoi that time telling me that I know I will lose you because I'm moving you out of kitchens, but I think you need to move. So it worked well. Corridor over here outside the courtyard, Mr. Keswani and I was smoking, and he was doing his FRM for Cecil that time, and it was already announced that Mr. K will move to the Oberoi Bangalore. Before we both, his meeting was first. I was here to meet Mr. Oberoi because I had resigned from Oberoi Grand. This is 1998, if I'm not wrong. So, jaane se pehle Mr. K says, don't leave without seeing me. I said, okay, fine, great, sounds good. And we'd never worked together. He knew Kavita well, but I don't think we'd worked together. His meeting gets over, I go in, and Mr. Oberoi, of course, get fired, right? Why are you resigning? How can you go? This is your family. And if you decide not to resign, Ratan wants you in Bangalore. Life-changing moment completely for me. So thank you very much. And then, of course, same thing, the trick flipped. He was my GM in the Oberoi Bangalore, and I said, Mr. Keswani, what is this CRM thing that's happening in the industry, right? And what's these new technology companies coming in? Who better than us in Oberoi's to do CRM, right? And he said, okay, let's start tracking. I remember we used to sit for smokes or coffee in the Belvedere and discuss this morning the Eco Times to say, what's the CRM piece that's happening? And sure enough, five months later, I had joined a CRM company, my first step into the technology world. So yeah, beautiful journey, 19 years with Accenture now. I started when we were 8,000 people. Today we are 380,000 people in the country.
Wow.
So it's been a very, very exciting, many roles, same thing. Somebody tapped you on the shoulder, you said yes, and you said, we'll figure out how to do it. And that's what I think we are all regarded for and respected for in the industry. So yeah, took over as CMD about 2 years ago. Let's see where it go from here after this.
The sky's
Thank you.
Your journey, yeah. So I think we'll start with Sharad next, talk about your journey. Of course, you started off a little bit later than us, but you blazed your own track, so love to hear.
Thank you. Privileged to be here. I think one of the great achievements when we talk of was to complete 2 years of the Oberoi school or the OCLD, and Mr. Agarwal is here. It was an achievement to complete those 2 years because we were a batch of 29 who started off and 16 graduated. So if you were not a part of the 13, you were.
Mr. Agarwal was responsible.
Yeah, Mr. Agarwal was the sponsor then. I think one of the first few things that one learnt was always talk for yourself, and there is no stupid question. The second part, there is no stupid question, was very relevant until you became general manager and you had FRMs. In FRMs, the questions you asked, you had to be a little careful.
Thank you.
And I think the first couple of years just engraved a lot of discipline, a lot of attention to detail, and great understanding of luxury. Fantastic understanding of luxury, and even now, having worked with having worked with 2 other brands and got exposed to many hotels, I think what the concept, the theory of luxury that Oberoi Hotels had always, I think is timeless, and what was spoken of 30 years back of experiences of service is what every brand today is trying to do. What was actually 30 years back, and maybe more, even with Rai Bahadur, what started off so many years back is still, I think others are trying to catch up now. So I think it gets in a lot of pride even today when you go out to say you're an Oberoi product. In fact, I was in another hotel working for another brand, and meeting a guest who wasn't very happy and said, after the interaction, said, by any chance, are you from Oberoi? Or are you from Oberoi school, actually, that lady said. The other bit I think that came in very strongly was passion. Do things genuinely. Whatever you do genuinely. That also linked very well with the attention to detail, which I feel is so important, and these 3 things really have really shaped me up a lot in everything that I do today. I mean, every hotel or anywhere that I walk into, this kind of things that I've started looking at is all a part of the grooming that I got with Oberoi Hotels and with several wonderful leaders.
The best is yet to come, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So now, Joe, I mean, I've had the privilege of knowing you right through our lives, and I've seen firsthand the kind of cutting-edge stuff that you always did, and no fear. But it'll be lovely for you to share the journey from Oberoi to where you are, and outstanding achievement with Licious, and I know all the challenges in the first couple of years, and you've just turned it around from the technical side. You're the only guy who, basically, there are 2-3 founders. He's the guy who understands food and meat and everything else. The rest of the guys are from insurance business, right? But they're very good in raising funds, and they've supported Joe very well. So, love to hear.
Yeah, so it's now 25 years since I left the Oberoi. Still Oberoi hangover still surrounds me. And it's the same thing that we hear, I think I'm sure everybody in the room. One is the quality, one is this eye for detail. That can never leave us, I worked from 88 to 2000 in Oberoi, and I was lucky to do the pre-opening of Oberoi Bangalore, 6 months before the opening. Lucky to do Trident Jaipur, Rajvilas, and Trident Udaipur. And I think it was that time when this bug got into me that I have to start my own hotel, But I was so focused on pastry, I didn't have the confidence to do it. And I found myself at the Oberoi Center teaching for 3 years under Stephen Head. So one day I went to Steve and I told him, listen, I just don't have the confidence to do this business because I've been so focused on this. So he told me to go and do a master's. So I went to Europe and did my master's, and I came back, and within 3 months I was on my own. And whatever I did, no matter how small it was, it had to be world class. My first shop was just, I think, 200 square foot. I had only 50,000 bucks in my pocket because I blew everything in Europe. And I still did it. And it was always to think big, to scale it up. And I managed to scale it up to 9 stores, 3 cities in about 3 years, I think. And then I did a bar in Bangalore, in the center of Bangalore. If you guys know Bangalore, it's called Hard Rock Cafe now. In those days, I named it after the building was built in 1912, the year the Titanic sank. So I had a retro place, cut glass, silver, even tablecloths. If you got a seat in the bar, you were in, otherwise you're out. Vijay Mallya, Nandini Nilikani were like weekly kind of, regulars. Some people call me a serial entrepreneur, but I don't know, all these businesses I did, something or the other dropped it, There was a shootout in the bar and I had to shut the bar in after about 3 years. Painted Platters, I took it up. A venture capitalist came and put in his money. Unfortunately, 3 months after he put in the money was the big recession, 2008. So I was bankrupt. Then I built myself back again. I did a superbike cafe in Coimbatore. We used to do these rides to Ooty and to Kanyakumari. And the partner who I had teamed with, he died in a ride crash in Spain. So with that, wives came, sold all our bikes out. And that was the end of the superbike. So, one after the other, I completely forgot about the hotel, It was a roller coaster for me. And then I got a call from Mr. Deepak Raheja in Bangalore, and he told me he wants me to run the JW Marriott. And this was after 14 years. And I said, no, you got the wrong Joe. This is nothing. But I think somewhere I briefed him that I was a bit of a maverick. And so I was asset manager. At that time, I didn't even know what the meaning of asset manager was. So I was like owner's rep. And I was thinking differently because 14 years on my own and bankrupt in 2008. This guy was nearly bankrupt at that point of time. It was 400 times of what I was. And so I followed the same principles, And unlike other asset managers, I was with the financial controller every night, trying to figure out where the cash is going to come from, And helped turn down that hotel in about 7-8 months. At the same time, these 2 friends of mine come up and say, let's start Licious. So I said, what do you want us to do? So he said, let's deliver meat to the customer's doorstep. And at that point of time, it was an app where you get the order and then the closest butcher you would go to, But we couldn't find any butcher which was clean. And so I had built myself a factory, So I would because of Mr. Zafar Shyam, I was doing the British Airways, Oberoi flight services at the airport. Then I would do all the MNCs like Hard Rock, Nando's of South Africa. So I built it up, and when we went in, they had never seen a place so clean because it was for flight services. So they said, why don't we start from here? So a part of the factory was given to Licious. And let me tell you, I've never been on a ride like this in my life. It was, we are now 10 years, we're about 4,500 people across 23 cities. We do about 110 crores a month. It's crazy. And next year we're going to, thanks. Next year, hopefully, we'll list by the end of the year. So still a lot of work to be done. And I think one of the values with Oberoi said, it was not merely to make money. I think it was to think big and to deliver, excellent quality. And I think I spent most of my time, spending on the shop floor trying to figure out how to get it better and better, I think that's the challenge in the country. I've always worked only in the premium level, never gone below that because I don't understand it at all. Yep.
Lovely.
I think that's mine.
Lovely. How many people now in Licious?
We're about 4,500, yeah.
That's not a joke. Fantastic. So I think there's considering most of our legacy here, we all know about the Tata Sierra ad in our time, which said, you take the rough with the smooth. If you remember that, the SUV when it first started on one side was smooth and one side. It's an adage which one can use in our own lives because it's not a smooth ride. I mean, all of us have had challenges, so I'm sure you too. So keeping that in mind, the next few minutes, we'll talk a little bit about those kinds of experiences so that everybody knows it's not a glory ride. We already know it, but some of the stuff that affected you and how you dealt with it and learnings, for us listening to you. So again, I'll start with the youngest man on the stage, is Ajay. So the things I want to talk to you, because you are from the kitchen, right? And then you took a leap of faith. Of course, F&B kitchen, a lot of people make successes. But then at some stage, you dived into the tech world. Is it because you were in Bangalore, or because, what were the reasons why you had this opportunity, number one? And what were the initial thoughts that you had, and your family, of course, and I'd love to know how many years that you had already worked, and then you're shifting careers, to a whole different, and taking the risk, because if I remember right, at that stage, Kavita had also stopped working, so the big challenge for you. And how, so when did you accept that change, and how did it change your thinking, basically? Because there might have been similarities, but I would like to know for the group here, what were you thinking when you made that jump?
It's a difficult question. So 15 years with Oberoi's, most of them in the kitchen, 10 at TUND, as I said, and then quickly in Goa, Calcutta, and a couple of years in with Mr. Keswani at the Oberoi, Bangalore. Yes, a big reason was that IT was just about happening and starting in Bangalore, right? That was the initial hub. We'd done the Millennium spread together. If you remember, we'd set up the GE center because those execs wanted to party, but they wanted to be around. So Y2K flip over the Millennium was happening, and no other industry had ever done a 24/7 operation other than hotels and the army, right? And that's the time, some of us took that plunge, and it kind of worked. Turned out to be a good journey. That I would say is one initiator, because Amex had opened a center in Gurgaon, GE, Jack Welch Center, we'd opened as an Oberoi, sponsorship, Ashish Vora, and I remember standing there in the middle of the rain, opening the Jack Welch Center at that time. That was one consideration, certainly. The other one, I think, even if I'm telling it to this group, was a little discomfort in knowing what I'm going to do for the next 15, 20 years, right? In the sense that 120-room hotel becomes 200, becomes 400, then some of us will go to the job would have remained the same. And this is maybe in the hindsight telling that story. But that was a big motivator to say, what more? Like, I've done 1 or 2 or 3 flips now. Can the other one be successful? So that kind of was a little motivator there. I don't think family was a concern. Kids were too young. They'd literally grown up in the hotels. They were the ones who pushed back and said, Dad, why? Because, hey, how will we go and stay in the room? And Butler Bell was a good game for them to have while staying in the rooms, but that didn't happen. Positives that came out of it was a 5-day week, right? And again, all friends here. The industry I went into didn't do management by hanging around. And I always tell every colleague in hotels I meet to that, why do we need to do management by hanging around? Let the next guy take responsibility and run with it. So that was a huge learning. The connection that I took from one to the other, even if that was not your question, I remember there was a union strike happening at the Oberoi in New Delhi, early 90s. I think Mr. Malhotra was the GM. And it started from the kitchens, and Mr. Oberoi was being briefed, and I was called in because I was on site when the problem started. I remember he quoted to Mr. Malhotra that, Sanjeev, every management gets a union that it deserves. Some of those words stayed with me for every situation. I quote them unashamedly, and I say this, I heard this from Mr. Oberoi, but it is true for every situation, right? What you do is going to come back to you. Right? And whether it's in terms of changing jobs, how you do it, what you do is going to get rewarded accordingly, or it's a situation that you've created that you have to find out what's your role in that, right? And that, I think, was the other learning that we picked up from here. But needless to say, the first step, it was like the soul left the body, right? Here you were a subject matter expert, a chef people would go to, or a F&B guy. To getting into a room where you didn't even get the 3-letter acronym, right? And IT is nothing but 3-letter acronym, right? Everything is, nobody knows what GPT stands for, but GPT is GPT, right? So that was the other change. For the next 6 months, you were drinking like a hose pipe. It kept coming, but then came back, the Oberoi school taught confidence and pride that how can I fail in this? It has to happen. So that's where it really made a difference. And still, it still stays there. You always go back to Mr. Agarwal ne kya sikhaya tha, right? So that's how life starts again.
So that's great. Lovely story. And look where you've reached. That's amazing. Now, Joe, I want to talk to you about one of your other startups, Painted Platters. And all of us who are from Bangalore know a lot about it. And considering now, and I also wanted to frame it against Theobroma, right? So I look at what we experienced Painted Platters. So basically, it was a dessert and pastry kind of a company. I think in 2001,
2002.
yeah. So, and it was the go-to place for anybody. What do you want to do? Where do you want to hang out after, let's say, 9 o'clock? You go to Painted
And there was
Platters.
art on every plate that came out from that.
He is the guy who designed all of this stuff, and it was. I mean, we thought this is going to just, you know, fly, and love to hear from you what really happened, what were the successes, and you know, thoughts about Theobroma today versus is it timing, whatever it is. But I just love to hear from your mind. What do you think?
So I think whatever I did was, I think, a way beyond its time. You know, even Licious, to be honest, way beyond its time. People understand, you know, the live market, or they understand frozen. India does not understand frozen at all, you know, so we took the middle path. So we've broken a lot of ground. So it's still, so same thing with Painted Platters. I was the only, possibly the first dessert parlor in the country, you know. People didn't know anything more than a mocha cake, chocolate cake, pineapple cake, I think. They had never heard of a tiramisu at that time. Mississippi mud pie, they couldn't even pronounce. You know, and so I go into this market and I wanted to scale, you know, so it had to be multiple stores across the country. So the back end was completely frozen. So I would transport this product into the store and then thaw it, and then it would be served, you know. So a lot of people came for franchisees. So I would say, why didn't you take a franchisee? Little did I know that franchisees don't work in India, you know, because they just put in the money, but there's nobody to run it. You know, but none of them, all of them pulled back when they heard frozen. No, that's not going to work. We want fresh. So I just kept back and continued with that store. But the moment I opened my bar in the center of the city, the whole town said, oh my God, he's opened this bar in the center from that small little store. I had franchisees standing outside my door. I had MF Hussain as one of my first franchisees. You know, but I found out that that's not the way to go, you know, because in India they only think money, and I don't think that's the right way to approach business. I think Oberoi taught us that.
And if you, for example, at that stage, if the funding ecosystem was as evolved as it is today, would you have continued that, you think?
Oh yeah, I think if that recession didn't take place, I think I would have been parallelly in a different
I mean, all I can say is we as Bangaloreans, latest addition to the Bangalore boys gang is Sharad. He's moved to Bangalore. We missed that.
Yeah.
And thank you for at least giving us that opportunity. It was fantastic.
We missed the bar also.
Yeah, absolutely. So now Sharad, coming to you. So you kind of worked for three of the biggest brands in India, Oberoi, needless to say, but also Marriott Group and the Leela. So I'd love to hear from you on the commonalities and the differences that you experienced. And I mean, considering the group, which is rated #1, forget about guys from the other two chains, right? But love to hear from you as to how that whole experience went and what gave you confidence and what did you learn?
So, you know, they were, when I was with the Oberoi Group 24 years, and they were twice that opportunities came in, and one I was just narrating, I was in Calcutta then, and an opportunity came by and I met Mr. Mukherjee, and I decided not to move on. And I thank Mr. Mukherjee again that I'm glad I did not move on, because if I had moved on to that company, I would have probably left hotels then, which I didn't want to. When I eventually moved to another hotel company, it was because of Oberoi. I mean, I was taken in every role that I've been taken. One large part has been of my exposure, experience at Oberoi. And first few months when I moved into a new role were very tough, because there, you know, things that one took for granted in an Oberoi hotel of, you know, the spirit, the belongingness that every associate, every team member has in an Oberoi does not exist elsewhere. And that is tremendous. That you see even now when you walk into an Oberoi hotel, the belongingness, the guest orientation, and I would wonder, you know, I would have some interactions where an associate or a manager would say, look, I said no to a guest and the guest was unhappy and the guest left the hotel. I said, how could you do that? You know, look, in in our world, I mean, guests cannot leave a hotel. You can't have an unhappy guest. So it was those such little things that took time not to get used to, but I think for people to change. And it was not about, I never wanted to adapt to lesser quality, but really learn of what the strengths of other brands are. And I think the other two brands I worked with also are very good brands. They have their own strengths, but everybody wants to learn quality service from Oberoi Hotels, whether it's a hotel brand or anybody. I think all developers today would say, you know, I would want a hotel to be like an Oberoi hotel, which is I think great, which is in many ways has continued over years. And you know, one of the things that we all have heard quite a bit is the devil is in the detail. Yeah, and then came in the angel is in the detail. Yeah, and you all know who I'm referring to as the devil in the detail and angel in the detail. And you know, that got in so much of humility. And that's where the service of the Oberoi group, and you know, Oberoi School, Oberoi Hotels was meant to be up-nosed. But I think that humility that came in was of tremendous help of adapting to a new role every time that I moved. And having worked with some, you know, great leaders, Mr. Keswani is right here, right in front, Mr. Nrula, of course, Mr. Vikram Oberoi, Mr. Arjun Oberoi, and I think, you know, just the different styles of working and with the common, you know, when we talk of devil in the detail and angel in the detail is still there. Right. So that, I think that adaptability, yeah, it wasn't, it was considered that you are from Oberoi Hotels, you will only think that way, you can't do anything else, which is not true, which I think is not true. I think that adaptability was huge. That's kind of helped me a lot.
Wonderful. So now what I want to do is actually, to make this session even more special, I'd like to invite on stage somebody who all of us know very well, who had a handle on how we shaped up right from the beginning. And his name has been mentioned a couple of times. So there's some pain in the system. So we said, might as well, or the benefits of that system, pain. So let's invite Mr. Arun Agarwal, who pull that chair.
I'll sit there, let him.
No, let's pull it. So now we can confidently call him Aggie, because he can't do anything to us.
Not behind his back.
Yeah, but please come on.
No, please.
So just for all of the audience who are, you know, after, you know, you don't know Mr. Agarwal, who left possibly in 96, 97, but he hired each and every one of us. He made our life wonderful at the Oberoi School.
Oh, indeed.
Thanks to which
Now you are
I
saying.
still want my appraisal to be passed in the right kind of way. But jokes apart, somebody who I think each of us in our lives has thanked a million times, especially guys like us who work a lot in food and beverages. So Mr. Agarwal, firstly, thank you for all that you did for us. And I just thought I'll bring you in here because knowing you and your emotional mindset, even though you know, you gave us hell when we started. Thank you for that, because honestly speaking, it shaped us differently, right? And it's really tempering, hot, cold, and everything in between. And you did a great job. So thank you for that. And now I just thought that I want to bring you in here so that, you know, you are so, you know, an important part of the Oberoi School. You made the Oberoi School an aspirational, definitely the IHM students always aspired. The other graduates who came didn't know jack about F&B or whatever.
For the first
they hated the guy.
For the first quarter.
Yeah.
Then
I
they
have
beat
a
us.
dear friend of mine, Ravi Swarup, who, if you said F&B, the guy starts puking. Because he didn't know that this is part of the deal. And then Agarwal has come with his foot right in your gut, ready all the way with F&B into the
Are
system.
you praising me or you are?
Both. But sir, what I want you to know is the benefit of that. Thank you for doing that. Your shoe is clean, so that's fine. But now I just wanted to get you to share, because we'd love to hear your thinking. I really want you to look at each of these faces and say, what did you remember first of these guys, especially when you're interviewing them? and then any other thoughts you want to share with each of them or ask them questions and so on. But the point is, I want to make this where it's a beautiful celebration for us that, you know, 3 outstanding students of yours.
Yeah, including him.
I mean, I've been lucky, but definitely the focus is on you guys and Mr. Agarwal. So first think of this young guy here and what do you remember of Ajay?
Now, first of all, I want to thank all of you. Actually, I get emotional when I see everybody growing, doing some, you know, reaching to these positions wherever you are now. And in between also we kept meeting. I look back my time when I joined Oberoi, which was 57 years back, my first interaction, and working with three generations, with Rai Bahadur, with Mr. Bikki, then Vikram, Arjun, all that. So actually, I never felt that I'm outside Oberoi. Wherever I have been, to various countries, to various hotel chains, you name many. I have also worked with Marriott's and other places also. But to my heart, always it has been Oberoi, and which remains Oberoi. And I think that is because of Rai Bahadur. Because my interaction with that man, and till the end, he would remember my name. I was nothing, I was also a kitchen trainee. And when I see 2 of them are sitting here now, Ajay and Joe, and I was also a kitchen trainee. So I feel so nice about it that, okay, see, in Oberoi, it did not, it doesn't matter that in which department you are. It is the main thing, the success depends that how well you perform, how well you take care of yourself. And the main thing what was with Oberoi is whatever I can see in commonality, the selection of a person. The person whom we have taken in the beginning, we used to spend so much time in selection in various catering colleges or, you know, if we were saying interviews and all that, because we were visualizing that person in the shoes of minimum general manager. We were not visualizing it short term. In other organization we go, that person sees that all right, whether he will be able to work for me for a year or 2 years. In Oberoi, no. In Oberoi, we were always thinking that whether he will fit into those shoes or not, and that's what is here. So, yes, at that time, if you are asking me about Ajay, naturally, we were looking at him as whether he will be able to work as an executive chef in that position. I never thought at that stage that person can come out of the kitchen and he will be heading such a big IT operation. One could not feel like that. Joe, yes, I knew that he was the craft person. He used to remain quiet. And the way he used to work, he's an artist, if you look at him. Yeah. But he would never talk. He was, you know, reserved to himself. His family was abroad. To me, it used to look like that he might leave India and he might go back and get settled with them there in UK and other places. But no, that didn't happen, because my interaction with him in Bangalore, in other places, wherever, you know, I've seen him, which is something nice to see. With Sharad, my interaction, yes, in OSHM, definitely with everybody, it was there. All of you used to pull my legs actually, behind my back, not in front of me, which I can hear even today. When Arjun was talking to me, he said, oh, you are a tough guy. People were, they used to mention that. I think the main thing was that in my mind at that stage was that how to bring a character in all the people, in all of you, by the way, being tough. Because we, at that stage, our family backgrounds were not, we were not from rich families, let's believe in that. Most of us, when we joined Oberoi, at that time, we were from middle class families. And we had high aspirations, and that's what we were looking into people. And my job, what Mr. Bikki Oberoi also mentioned at that time was, that you have to make them tough guys who can survive in all circumstances. And believe me.
And girls, right?
That's true. Guys and girls too, yes. I mean that all of them. And he gave me free hand, by the way. Not only me, in fact, our entire team and OSHM and OCLD later it was there. But besides, you know, I used to tell him, I said that if you just leave me in training, people will think that I don't know more than that. Then Mr. Oberoi involved me in various activities at that stage. You know, when the McKinsey process started, I was involved in that. When new hotel openings were there, Bangalore hotel we opened, I was involved in that, and Khajuraho problems. You know, so in various hotels, various things, he gave me a free hand. And I can tell you that I could do that because of all these guys who are sitting here. We used to go to hotels, we used to manage there, we used to run the show, whether if there were problems, if there were, strike or any such type of things were there. And main thing was that what we taught at that stage, or I think that's what is showing fruits, is being hands-on, not to run away from the situation. Whatever the situation you face, you have to manage that. And I think that's what the success is, and that's what, if you ask me about Ajay, I remember, I recall, when I first interviewed him in catering college, and then Kavita later on, and then meeting them, same way with Joe. I think it was in Bangalore when I saw you in your interview. And Sharad, so actually, those, when we meet now, like in this conclave, old faces, when we see, all those memories come. When I was looking at Mr. Lalit Bhasin now. Now, I was remembering Oberoi Palace, when 1975, 76, around those time period when you used to come and we used to interact. And that's why I want to thank Oberoi, because see, once we work in Oberoi, that blood comes inside us, we can never forget Oberoi. Wherever you work, whichever organization you go, and people identify us, not only me, entire team, all of us are the same. Age is different, that is a different thing. When we walk somewhere, when we talk to somebody, people know that, okay, we are from Oberoi. So I want to thank Rai Bahadur and Mr. Bikki as far as that part is concerned, and all of you too, by the way, because you are carrying all that part together.
Now, the next point to you is, see, all of us would have got dehydrated before we came for our first interview with you. I remember the sweating that happens and preparation, and you still get screwed. But I want to give the other side, which is, I'd love Joe, Sharad, and then Ajay to say, when you look at Arun Agarwal and what he's taught us, what, examples of what you learned from him, and, any other thoughts that you have on Arun Agarwal teaching you. It'll be useful for him to know. It's all good, sir. Don't worry.
Don't worry. I'm ready for other ones.
Yeah.
We'll flip the order this time.
If I meet any of my batchmates or people who, when I say OCLD, Oberoi School. So also, I joined Oberoi School. And I graduated from Oberoi Center for Learning and Development. So school, you know what a school is.
So you
and
still
school
had
has
one foot in the door for a young Aggie to take care of you, right?
So the school really was the headmaster. Was it was a very tough headmaster, and then graduated into, which was a great learning, and it was a great lesson at that time of what school and how the world is changing, and how generations are changing. So whenever we meet, a couple of us meet, there are two people we of course speak of. Number one is Mr. P.R.S. Oberoi, and the second one is Mr. Arun Agarwal. He used to be called AK-47 at that time.
One of the names.
One of the names. And so you're always remembered very, very fondly. And if I may also add, when we're talking of this, so what impact it had was Mr. Oberoi, Mr. P.R.S. Oberoi has a huge impact on me as an individual. Apart from, after my family, I think it's him, who's had a huge impact on what I am today. And that's true for, I think, a lot of us. Huge impact. When I look at myself, after my parents, it's him that I think of, and all the values that I carry, my behavior, my values, everything that I carry is a lot about that. And with Mr. Agarwal, of course, there are series of incidents that one can talk about, but one that, just comes to my mind now is right when you joined Oberoi School, you were taken to the old city, and there you went through Jama Masjid and those lanes, and you had to have those paranthas. You had to eat those paranthas, especially if you were on the same table. And I think over there, the way when we go back to say, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do this? And that's, that's something that everybody does today, is to how do I absorb in the local culture? How do I absorb in myself in what is unique to the city, what is really genuine, what is real, and those are the experiences. I mean, every international guest who comes today is taken into those by-lanes, which we were done as trainees. But many more. Mr. Agarwal, I think we can discuss more in the evening about it.
You remind me of something. Once we were going for that long walk we used to start from Jama Masjid, we used to go through the entire city. In one place we saw a chaatwala arranging his stall. And all of us stood there and we observed how he was doing his mise en place and mise en scène. On a tree he was hanging his donas, pattas, how he was keeping his patilas. And then we were discussing, see, it's not that we do in our hotels our mise en place, we do all that part. Just look at this guy before he starts his business, how he is organizing himself, where people are going to throw his chaat ka patta phekenge, kahan kya cheez hogi. So these were the main things actually, and our people, if we have grown up like that, we do keep those values in mind that we learn from everybody. Frankly speaking, I am learning, I keep learning, I think I will learn till the day I die, from this man. He has done so many things, Shyam, if I talk about, and we have worked together also for Griffith, for other things too. But the things he has done, like when he was with the SR, and how, in fact, I wish that he could even share those type of things. That the flower business, how did you do? How did you go to Netherlands? And how did you, from where the biggest flower mandi is there of the world, and from India we were exporting flowers there. This is the guy who was responsible for that. Various things. I'm saying I'm learning, and we all learn from that. It's good that I appreciate that you are appreciating my efforts, but I do keep learning. Thank you for teaching me also. Thanks a lot.
The no fear piece came out of some of the stuff you created with us, so thank you for that. And I think, Joe, do you want to share your thoughts on Aggie?
Yeah, this is a story, My daddy was an aeronautical scientist. So late 70s, so this is before TV came into India, National Aeronautical Labs, where he used to work, had a supercomputer. So I was in 7th standard, I remember. So all the scientist kids were sent into the lab, and we learned Fortran 4. And then, it's crazy that I'm now in an e-commerce company, But those were the roots, I think. And then I was at the Oberoi, Bangalore, when it opened in '92. And there were these recipe cards, Every time the purchase contract changes, we have to sit and write those, because the rates would change. So I went to NIT, and I told them, can you teach me how to program? So this is before Microsoft, before everything, So they taught me Foxbase, and then I would sit in the HR client, and then I would sit and do my own program, And then I got transferred to the school. So the first thing I had to do was write notes. And that was when Microsoft came in. So I'm trying to figure out PowerPoint, and Hotmail was my email ID, and there's no notes anywhere. So I had to call back home, and I told my wife, can you send me these notes, which will be in my drawer, in different colors. You remember that? Mr. Agarwal's notes, green and yellow and white. I'll never forget
Pink and green, I remember that.
So
That's
I think that was more like our Bible for us than the LaRue's, So I'll never forget that.
Oh, thanks. Ajay, I'm sure you remember
No, but keeping it crisp, I know you're running against time. So things I learned from, we used to push back. Why do I need to know 100 potato preparations, right? And we make sure we knew all 100 and there'll be a quiz on all. And I remember him telling us as a batch that time, he says, remember that whenever you're in trouble, go back to basics, right? Your solution always lies in the basics. And that's why it helped. And second thing, I think, super organized. And what I learned was that if you don't have your facts right, the facts will only kill you, right? You'll get stuck in such a position that, you didn't have your facts right before you went into that situation. So thank you very much. But he was partial to KTs, I must say, right? I don't think any of the management trainees got a party at his house at the end of the batch where we all got drunk together.
Yeah,
remember, sir?
But
thank you very much.
To all of us. No, pleasure. I mean, I think it's nice to see this kind of sharing. Yeah, there are two options we have if we're running short of time. One is I have one question for Mr. Agarwal, and then if you want to, a couple of guys want to ask questions from the audience. But the one question, last question I have for you is, if you were training at the Oberoi school today, right, what would you keep the same and what would you change? In your training,
things have changed now. If I look at the interaction with customer at earlier time, the touch points which were there were many. Means one could see that when the customer was checking in, he's coming to reception, he's, all those things. Now the touch points have reduced. Out of 70 touch points, which if I was teaching you at that time, those have come down to 7. Now, if only 7 touch points are there, what will you do? Now you cannot make mistakes on these 7 touch points. It means we have to train our people in such a way that you still leave the same impression. You look smart, you talk well, you do everything. But those 7 touch points, whichever are there, you can't make any mistake. Maximize that. So that means now if I was again going to train, I have to change my training system. It will be different. Second, I would say that now aspirations of the younger generation which is coming, I cannot say that, okay, they are going to work for us for 10 years, 15 years. It means now if I was training them, I will train them for 2 years, keeping them, and in small batches I will train, and then I will keep giving them doses as they grow.
Okay. So that shows you that the evolution of Aggie is a real practical and realist, in the system. So with the time running out, is there time for questions, or Payal, what do you say? Yeah? Yeah. So I would love, because I know some of the younger folks who have not trained with Mr. Agarwal, you see the love we have for him. But, he gave us so much confidence. But any thoughts you have?
Some spicy stories from the audience.
Oh, yeah. Boss,
yeah, sure.
Aapka bhi hoga, shayad.
Yes,
Why don't you tell us start, boss? Okay. Give us the most spicy story, please.
वो संजीव जी बैठे हैं ना हमारे मेरठ के खंड.
But was he with you as a trainee, or you joined after?
Who? Sanjeev was before.
Yeah, correct. So I want somebody who's... Okay. So anybody, folks, from the 85 to 96 vintage. Okay, Upal?
So I remember my first training schedule was in the kitchen, and it was in the Indian kitchen. And in those days, you got your appraisal done from the kitchen guy who was heading. You write one report, and final used to be a viva at the Oberoi school, and you had to score above 60 in all of them to be able to pass that. Otherwise, you went back for that week.
Yep.
So I remember I was, being interviewed by Mr. Agarwal, and he said, "Please explain to me, Paul, what is Nargisi kofta?" So I said, "Sir, first you take your mutton, you mince it, then you make balls, then you fry your balls." He said, "You fry your own balls, don't fry mine."
So Aggie, just for everybody's information, was pure non-veg.
Always. Anybody else?
Lovely. Thanks, Paul. Anybody else? Ravish, you want to share all the love stories? You had you couldn't miss Aggie's class.
So I remember Mr. Agarwal coming to my college, Delhi University, and I think that I was the only one who, out of the 9 who were the finalists, and I got shortlisted to be there for the final interview. I thought there was a connect that I had, and I could see that, somehow we connected, but by the time I reached the class, it was a different Mr. Agarwal. So somewhere he also had the knack of identifying those who were not loving his subject, which was food and beverage. And for us, as he said that, from humble backgrounds that we came, we never really stood or stepped into a 5-star hotel. For many things, a tomato sauce was just really a ketchup for us, or not a ketchup also. So, those were the nitty-gritties that we started learning when we stepped in. And of course, I took great and deep affection to front office, contrary to how Mr. Agarwal wanted food and beverage to. But thank you, sir, for everything that you did in our lives.
Lovely. Thank you. I think Dilip Puri, I want you to say something because you must have been one of the first batches that studied with Aggie.
What can I say?
Whatever, Dilip.
I was like Ravish, so not interested in food and beverage. You know, if I'd got my first posting in food and beverage, I would have quit then and there. But yet, over the years, when I became a general manager and I had to know food and beverage, the only thing I could go back to was Arun's notes.
Yeah.
And you know, we had kept them diligently over those years, even after we graduated. Or बहुत काम में आए sir. Even after,
Your morning meetings were cool, under control. That's
indeed,
great.
indeed. So like Ravi said, thank you so much for all you've done for us.
Thank you.
So I think with that, firstly, thank you panel. I mean, keep
Thank you for
flying the
having
flag
us.
of Oberoi as high as possible. We'll be eagerly looking at your next successes. And Mr. Agarwal, thank you for creating confidence in all of us to make successes out of our own lives. So thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Oberoi alumni, the wider spectrum. I'm sure it's brought in a lot of nostalgia, gratitude, and pride. So, thank you so much. One more round of applause for them, please. Like they say, save the best for the last. This is a special edition of A Legacy Remembered.